Okay, so this year in 5th grade, we've talked about quadrant 1. That's this quadrant right here. And we're going to go ahead and label it. Now, whenever you're labeling your quadrants, you use Roman numerals. So we're going to call this quadrant 1. And the reason why we talk about quadrant 1 in 5th grade is because when we think about all of the numbers that are involved in quadrant 1, we're talking about a positive x and a positive y. So whenever we think about our ordered pair, we think about our ordered pair as being a positive number with another positive number. Our x value is positive and our y value is positive. Okay? Get one. All right. So next year, because you'll be introduced to negative numbers, you're going to learn about the other 3 quadrants. Now these quadrants go in reverse order or counterclockwise direction. So the next quadrant that we're going to talk about is this one right here. So I'm going to start by labeling it quadrant 2. Now, when we think about quadrant 2, we have our x value still coming first, and then our y value. But what kind of values are associated with our x value? Yes, negative numbers. So we have a negative x value with a positive y value. So whenever we write our ordered pair, we're going to have a negative number partnered with a positive number. Okay? All right, any questions over those 2? You have a question?
For quadrant 1, I can't really see. What is the second one?
This says positive y. All right, so we're still going in that counterclockwise direction. And we're going to call this quadrant 3. All right. So for quadrant 3, we always are traveling again the x value first, which our x value starting from the origin is going to be negative. And then our y value has now turned into a negative number 2. So when we think about what numbers are associated with quadrant 3, we're going to think about 2 negative numbers. We have a negative x value partnered with a negative y value. So our ordered pair will be negative partnered negative. Okay? And then finally, moving on over to quadrant 4. And quadrant 4 is going to be, well, 5 is a V, and so if you put 1 before the Roman numeral 5, then you get the Roman numeral 4, in case you didn't know that. Okay? 1 before 5 is 4. And so again, if we're starting with our origin and we travel on the x value, this time we have a positive x partnered with a negative y. So we have positive x partnered with a negative y. So that ordered pair would be positive, comma, negative. So what I'd like to do now is I just want to write an example of each one of these. First of all, I want to point out that this is the origin and this is where we start. That's your starting point every time. So if I write an example in quadrant 1, and let's just say we put a point right here, and I start at the origin, that is 3, 7. So if I write that ordered pair, it's going to be 3, 7. Go 3 all the way up to the number 7. If I move over to quadrant 2 and I write an example over here, let's just put that at this location right here. So I started my origin. I go all the way over to negative 8, and then I'm going to go up to positive 2. And so this is how we would record that point location. If I think about a point in quadrant 3, let's just go with this one right here. So again, we start at the origin. We always travel on the x. We travel negative 4 first. Negative 4. And then we're going to go down to negative 2. And then finally, for quadrant 4, let's just do way over here. Starting at the origin, moving all the way across, that number is 10, comma, and the y value is negative 2.
So you just choose random numbers?
I just chose random numbers for our points to give you examples. But it's always start at your origin, write your x value first, then your y value. Okay?